Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to learn about the somatic and autonomic nervous system in detail. In this diagram, you can see the neuron which is made in black color. This represents the somatic nervous system. In the somatic nervous system, the neuron or the neuronal fiber may directly rise from the brain through brain stem or from any part of the spinal cord. The neuron may arise from brain stem directly from the brain or from any part of the spinal cord. And after arising from the brain or brain stem or from spinal cord, it make a junction with a muscle which is connected with the bone. It make a junction with the muscle which is connected with the bone, and that muscle and that connection will be called neuromuscular junction. This will be called neuromuscular junction. I'm going to write it. Neuromuscular junction. This neuromuscular junction will be there for the somatic neuron which arise from brain or from any part of the spinal cord, and over here the neurotransmitters secreted by the neuronal ending will be the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will be secreted over here at the neuromuscular junction. Acetylcholine will be secreted at the neuromuscular junction. All the somatic neuron which arise either from the brain or from the spinal cord will make a junction with the with the muscle connected with the bone, and that at that junction, at that neuromuscular junction, the neurotransmitter secreted will be acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter of the somatic nervous system. So this was about the neurotransmitter of the somatic nervous system. Now uh, about the autonomic nervous system. In the autonomic nervous system, this red color neuron which arise from the brain stem, or which arise from the sacral region of the spinal cord. This red color neuron represent the parasympathetic nervous system. In this parasympathetic nervous system, the neuron make connection with some other neuron in the periphery, and this is the cell body of another neuron, and make a ganglion. So this connection, there is a ganglion. Ganglion mean cluster of cell bodies. Ganglion, you should be aware of this word. Ganglion mean group of cell bodies outside the central nervous system. Group of cell bodies outside the CNS, or group of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system, that is called ganglion. So over here we should know that the ganglion mean the connection between the axonal nerve ending of this neuron with the cell body of the of another neuron. So this space, this gap, this connection, this gap is called synapse. The gap between the cell body and the neuronal ending of another neuron, that is called synapse. That is called what? Synapse. Synapse mean the junction of the cell body of one neuron with the neuronal ending of another neuron, or the junction between two axons, or the junction between, or you can say that the gap between the gap which is connected with the help of neurotransmitter, the gap between two neurons, and the gap between two connecting neuron, which may be between the axon, which may be between the cell body and axon, which may be between the axon and dendrite, which may be between the dendrites and dendrites also. So over here, this is between the this synapse is made, this gap, this synaptic cleft, or this synapse is made between the axon of one neuron with the cell body of another neuron. So this is a typical synapse. At this synapse, what will be secreted over here? The neurotransmitter secreted will be acetylcholine. Once again, the neurotransmitter secreted over here will be acetylcholine, and the neurotransmitter secreted over here, this neuron will make junction with smooth muscle, and the neurotransmitter secreted over here will also be acetylcholine. So same is the case with this neuron. The neuronal junction, the junction between the cell body and axon of another neuron, that is called synapse. In this synapse, the neurotransmitter secreted will be the acetylcholine, and over here, once again, the acetylcholine will be secreted at the junction between the smooth muscle and the neuronal ending. So the neurotransmitter of the uh, parasympathetic nervous system will be what? Will be acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is the acetylcholine is for parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, the parasympathetic nervous system. At the parasympathetic nervous system, at the ganglion, or at the junction between the muscle and the neuronal ending, the what will be secreted? The neurotransmitter secreted will be the acetylcholine, just like the somatic nervous system. Um, this was about the neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic nervous system. Now coming toward the sympathetic nervous system. In the sympathetic nervous system, the neurotransmitter secreted will be the in the sympathetic nervous system, the neurotransmitter secreted at the ganglion. This is a ganglion. This is another ganglion. The ganglion will be acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will be secreted at the ganglion of the sympathetic nervous system. At the sympathetic nervous system, this is very important, that the sympathetic nervous system, in the sympathetic nervous system, the neurotransmitter at ganglion will be what? That will be acetylcholine. But the neurotransmitter is secreted at the muscle, at the connection of muscle and the nerve ending, will not be acetylcholine. That will be noradrenaline or norepinephrine. So this is a pre-synaptic neuron or pre-ganglionic neuron, and this is post-ganglionic neuron. So the pre-ganglionic neuron will secrete the acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. The pre-ganglionic neuron will secrete acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. This is also sympathetic nervous system. This is also neuron of sympathetic nervous system. This will also secrete the acetylcholine. This is pre-ganglionic neuron. So all the pre-ganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system will secrete what? Acetylcholine. But the postganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system with the smooth muscle will secrete the noradrenaline over here, with some exceptions also. I'm going to talk about that later. But the postganglionic neuron will secrete the norepinephrine at the neuromuscular junction. Norepinephrine. Postganglionic neuron of sympathetic nervous system that will secrete what? Norepinephrine. Okay, the postganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system will secrete what? That will secrete the norepinephrine, and that norepinephrine is not for all the muscles or not for all the postganglionic neurons. There is some exception. The only muscle which is present in the sweat glands. These are the muscles which are present in the sweat gland. Over there, the postganglionic neuron, which give nerve supply to the sweat gland, will secrete the acetylcholine. This is the acetylcholine, the only postganglionic neuron which supply blood to the sweat gland, which supply a connection with the supply signal to the sweat gland, will secrete what? That will secrete acetylcholine. This is the exception of the sympathetic nervous system of the neurotransmitter. Over here, the acetylcholine will be secreted. The postganglionic neuron, which supply signal to the sweat gland, will secrete the acetylcholine, while all the postganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system will secrete the norepinephrine as the neurotransmitter. But over here, this neuron supply this is preganglionic neuron, and this preganglionic neuron make make ganglion with the chromaffin cells. The cells inside the adrenal medulla are called chromaffin cells. These are called what? Chromaffin cells. The chromaffin cells in the adrenal medulla make a ganglion with what? With the presynaptic neuron, or the preganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system. And over here again, which, as I have told you, that all the ganglion, the neurotransmitter secreted will be the acetylcholine. Over here, the acetylcholine will be secreted, but the acetylcholine will be secreted by the preganglionic neuron. To activate the chromaffin cells, the preganglionic neuron of adrenal medulla will secrete what? Will secrete acetylcholine. But after secreting the acetylcholine, the chromaffin cells will be activated, and the chromaffin cells inside the adrenal medulla will secrete what? That will secrete two types of neurotransmitter: the norepinephrine plus epinephrine. Now this is very much clear that the preganglionic neuron will secrete acetylcholine, and after secreting the acetylcholine, it will activate the chromaffin cell of the adrenal medulla, and the adrenal medulla will secrete what? This will secrete over here. This has secreted some neurotransmitter, and these neurotransmitters are two types. These are epinephrine and norepinephrine. We can also call them adrenaline and noradrenaline. So the epinephrine is considered as a hormone which is directly secreted into the blood. Both of these are directly secreted into the blood, but the epinephrine or adrenaline is considered as hormone because this is not secreted at any junction. This is secreted directly into the blood, while the norepinephrine may work as a hormone over here and work as the neurotransmitter over here. Norepinephrine work as a neurotransmitter over here and work as a a hormone over here, because all the entities which are secreted directly into the blood for their action, so those are hormones. So the norepinephrine is working over here as a hormone and working over here as a neurotransmitter, while the epinephrine work as a hormone over here. And the epinephrine is not secreted anywhere else in the central nervous system or peripheral nervous system, but only secreted over here, but as a hormone which is secreted directly into the blood. So this was all about the neurotransmitter of the autonomic and somatic nervous system. And I have already told you about the length of the presynaptic neuron of the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The presynaptic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system is always short, and the postsynaptic neuron is always long. The presynaptic neuron of the parasympathetic nervous system is always long, and the postsynaptic neuron of the parasympathetic nervous system is always short. Now coming towards the next slide, and this slide we can see this slide is very important from pharmacological point of view, because in this slide, first of all, we are going to explain the somatic nervous system. In the somatic nervous system, the somatic neuron which make the somatic nerve ending which make neuromuscular junction with the skeletal muscle, which secrete the acetylcholine. As I have told you in the previous slide, it secrete the acetylcholine, but this acetylcholine will activate what? This acetylcholine will activate the this acetylcholine will activate the receptors which are present in this neuromuscular junction in the muscles, in the nerve and the muscle end plate in the muscle. Now the receptor which bind with this neurotransmitter, these receptors are called nicotinic receptor. This is one of the type of nicotinic receptor. Two types of nicotinic receptors in the nervous system are there. One type of nicotinic receptor is this one, which is present on the skeletal muscle, and which are activated by the somatic neuron. So this somatic neuron activates or this somatic nerve fiber activate the nicotinic receptor by the acetylcholine. So this is activated by the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will up somatic neuron will activate what? Will activate nicotinic receptor on the skeletal muscles. And these nicotinic receptors are simply called known as these nicotinic receptors are simply known as N capital small n. NM nicotinic receptor. NM nicotinic receptor. And M represent the muscular junction, and N represent the nicotinic receptor. So this nicotinic receptor is the type of nicotinic receptor which is present. The type of nicotinic receptor which is present on the muscle, on the skeletal muscle, are called NM nicotinic receptor. This is very much important. You should learn about this for your pharmacology. This over here you can also see that the NM receptor, NM nicotinic receptor are also present over here, which are activated by the acetylcholine. Now coming towards the parasympathetic nervous system. Then in the parasympathetic nervous system, first of all, in the ganglion, this should also be kept in mind that all the ganglion The neurotransmitter, as the neurotransmitter secreted in all the ganglion are the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine are secreted in all the ganglion as a neurotransmitter. Over here, the neurotransmitter is acetylcholine in the parasympathetic nervous system. Over here, the acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter in sympathetic nervous system in the ganglion. Over here, the acetylcholine is secreted as a neurotransmitter in the ganglion and of the sympathetic nervous system. And again, over here, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine is secreted as neurotransmitter of the sympathetic nervous system. And again, over here, the acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter. So, as all the neurotransmitter secreted in the ganglion are the acetylcholine, so all the receptors which are present in the ganglion and the cell body of the ganglion which are activated by the acetylcholine are the nicotinic receptors. These are nicotinic receptor. This is nicotinic receptor. These are nicotinic receptor. These are nicotinic receptor. Over here, the nicotinic receptor are present on the chromaffin cells, which are activated by the acetylcholine, and over here, the nicotinic receptors are present on the postganglionic neuronal cell body. So all the cell body of the postganglionic neuron will have what? Will have nicotinic receptors, and these nicotinic receptors are called NN, in capital N and small n. The nicotinic receptor which are present in the neuromuscular junction was NM, while the nicotinic receptor which are present in the ganglion are NN. These are nicotinic receptor. Both of these nicotinic receptor, all the nicotinic receptor are activated by the acetylcholine. Now coming towards the postganglionic neuron. The postganglionic neuron of the parasympathetic nervous system, you can see over here, and you can also see over here the postganglionic neuron of the parasympathetic nervous system. This secrete the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will be secreted over here, but the receptor which will be activated by the acetylcholine over here will be muscarinic receptor. This is called muscarinic receptor. All the postganglionic neuron of parasympathetic nervous system secrete what? That secrete acetylcholine, and that acetylcholine bind with muscarinic receptors. Those acetylcholine secreted by these acetylcholine bind with what? These bind with the muscarinic receptor, and these muscarinic receptor will be either M1 or M2. These are two types of muscarinic receptor which are present in the peripheral nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the muscarinic receptor are activated by the acetylcholine over here in the parasympathetic nervous system. Now coming toward the sympathetic nervous system. In the sympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic neuron, all the postganglionic neuron of the sympathetic nervous system secrete the norepinephrine except the neuron which supply signal to the sweat gland. I'm going to write it over here. that all the post ganglionic neurons of the sympathetic nervous system will secrete what? Will secrete norepinephrine except what? Except the nerve of sweat gland. The nerve will supply signal to the sweat gland or nerve of sweat gland. So all of them, all the post-ganglionic neuron will secrete the norepinephrine, and that norepinephrine will activate a receptor, and that receptor over here will be the adrenergic receptor. The norepinephrine, I'm going to write in detail over here. The norepinephrine will activate what? Activate the adrenergic receptor. The norepinephrine will activate the adrenergic receptor, and adrenergic receptor are present where? Are present on the smooth muscle, and the smooth muscle of what? Up and the smooth muscle to which the postganglionic neuron gave connection. Over here, this is also this receptor is also adrenergic receptor. This is also adrenergic receptor, and this is also adrenergic receptor. This is on the smooth muscle, and this is also on the smooth muscle. So this adrenergic receptor will be activated by the norepinephrine. This adrenergic receptor will always be activated by the norepinephrine, and that norepinephrine will be secreted by the postganglionic neuron. Over here, this may be activated by the epinephrine or norepinephrine. But these norepinephrine and epinephrine travel in the blood and then combine with the receptor, which may be in the heart, which may be in the lungs, and these adrenergic receptor are either these adrenergic receptor will be alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2, or beta 3. So the alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, these are the receptors of these are adrenergic receptor, which are activated by the epinephrine or norepinephrine. Norepinephrine strongly bind with the alpha receptor, while loosely activate or bind with the beta receptor, but the epinephrine can bind with equal potential to both the alpha and beta receptor. The norepinephrine is secreted over here, and these norepinephrine are combined with the alpha 1 receptor. This receptor may be alpha 1, this receptor may be alpha 1, this may be alpha 2, which may be alpha 3, this may be beta 1, beta 2, or beta 3. So among the 5 type of receptor, these may be one of them. So this was all about the receptors which are present in the autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. So in the next slide, in this slide we can see that the preganglionic neuron, the preganglionic neuron of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system are are myelinated. These are myelinated. While the postganglionic neuron of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is non-myelinated. Non-myelinated and myelinated. But the somatic nervous system, the neuron of the nerve fiber of the somatic nervous system is heavily myelinated from the uh, point from where it arises to the neuromuscular junction. It is highly myelinated. The presynaptic neuron will be the preganglionic neuron of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system will be lightly myelinated. This is lightly myelinated. This is also lightly myelinated as compared to the somatic nervous system. This is so the myelinated. What will be myelinated? The somatic neuron will be highly myelinated, while the preganglionic of autonomic nervous system will be non-myelinated or unmyelinated. Non-myelinated. So no, this will be lightly myelinated. This will be lightly myelinated, and this will be heavily myelinated. Heavily myelinated, and the postganglionic neuron of autonomic nervous system will be non-myelinated or unmyelinated. Now this is very clear. The somatic neuron throughout will be heavily myelinated. This is somatic neuron and this is somatic neuron. This is heavily myelinated by the Schwann cells. This is heavily myelinated by the Schwann cell. The preganglionic neuron of the autonomic nervous system, all the preganglionic neuron of the autonomic nervous system will be lightly myelinated. These are lightly myelinated, while the postganglionic neuron of the autonomic nervous system will be non-myelinated. Now coming towards the last slide. In this slide we can see that the somatic nervous system, this is somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system, the neuron of the somatic nervous system is controlled by the cerebral cortex. This is cerebral cortex. This make connection with the cerebrum. This make connection with what? This make connection with the cerebrum. This is controlled by the cerebral cortex. All the somatic neurons are controlled by the cerebral cortex. While you can see that the autonomic nervous system, this is part of the autonomic nervous system. This is part of the autonomic nervous system. In the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system is controlled by the hypothalamus. So last writing, the somatic neuron controlled by the cerebral cortex, and the autonomic nervous system is controlled by majorly controlled by the hypothalamus. It is majorly controlled by the hypothalamus. So this was all about the autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. So once again, these are nicotinic receptors, these are muscarinic receptors, these are nicotinic receptors, these are adrenergic receptor, and these are nicotinic receptor. These are once again nicotinic receptor, while this is the muscarinic receptor in the sympathetic nervous system. This is nicotinic receptor, and this is not nicotinic. This is adrenergic receptor. This is muscarinic receptor, and this is nicotinic receptor. This is also nicotinic receptor, but NM receptor of nicotinic.